dancing on my own. See if you can follow. Got me feeling alive. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Break the signs. Every time let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. I want. Hear me now, I do what I want. Are you ready now? 'Cause it won't be easy. Only get what you work for. Gotta go all out. Whenever you see me, don't be wasting my time. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Break the signs. Every time let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Hear me now. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Break the signs. Every time let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. I do what I want.
Good morning. What's new, pussycat?
Second time's a charm, I hope. Put a 1 if you can hear me, because guess what? I'm having sound issues on my end. Oh, I'm starting to think this is the universe telling me, abort, abort mission. Okay, you can hear me. Perfect. That's part of the battle. I don't know what happened, but when I tried to like do my janky ass, like half-ass, what do they call that? Oh, there's some term for it. At any rate, when I went down to the computer tower thinking that I could take a cord that was this long and make it feasible for me to hardwire the mouse into the back of the tower. I mean, I guess if I'd sat cross-legged on the floor and you would have seen nothing and heard less. Well, in that case, the cord might have worked. Listen, I've always been a fan of wishful thinking and wishful drinking. But I apparently did something with my speakers while I was down messing around in that tower. I don't see anything undone, which leads me to believe the problem is behind the wall, behind this credenza that weighs 80 million pounds, that my husband will have to address this issue when he gets home. So fingers crossed, let's hope. Let me just pull this up and make sure I can hear it before I get too, into my soliloquy here. All right. I'm gonna pull it up in my email and we're gonna. Oh, True Texan, how are you? Happy Saturday. You aren't here for part 1 of the possibly two-part debacle. Court has been in a short recess for about an hour while the judge from Fashion Court had to charge her very pretty, what do they call that? RGB, red, blue, green, yellow. Yeah, that. My very pretty mouse that was apparently absolutely didn't even have half of 1% of a battery in it. So now that I've gotten that problem fixed, it could be very possible that. Okay, good. I can hear it. I was going to say I could have screwed the pooch here, but oh, we're good. All right, let me get this queued up at the right spot. Shannon, you just hold on. You just keep your happy ass waiting 1 minute, ma'am. Okay, so court is back in session. Prosecution, you've rested. Defense, are you prepared to present your closing argument? Yes, Your Honor, I am, but hold on 1 minute, please, because I need to bring my visual aid back in. This stupid bitch. Shannon Smith, the defense attorney for Ethan Crumbly, she wants everything both ways. So she very much likes to cry about, I'm a one-man show, a one-woman show. And she totes in like, well, the judge called it the Leaning Tower of Pisa of exhibits. Kind of like Betty's. I mean, she's Betty's second only to Shannon Smith. And we had lucked out, and she had moved her exhibits elsewhere. But of course, now she needs to bring them back as a prop. So I'm not kidding you when I tell you how many feet. Well, she had 2 stacks, and both stacks were stacked. I would say each stack was 2 feet at least. Oh, God, I can't stand this bitch. And I'm about to tell her all about herself. Yeah, my poor husband. My husband is like in the kitchen. I think my husband's actually starting to think, damn, can you go back to talking about the YouTube fucking nut jobs, please? At least I know who they are. I had the playbook figured out. I knew the players. Now you want to bring all these random criminals back. God, make up your mind, woman. I started this channel in the first place because all the years I have spent on my couch yelling at the TV. And then I somehow found my way to YouTube. Believe it or not, Cromwell was not the first hood I was in. The first hood I was in was Real Court. And I thought, I'm watching people like Betty. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm hotter. I'm 1,000 times smarter. And if that dumb bitch can do it, sign me up. And now I'm like, oh, never mind, Betty, you can have it, girl. Enjoy your reign. She didn't have anything else. God love her. Not really. Okay. But yeah, as I'm just like telling my husband all about Shannon Smith. At some point, as he's making his nightly sandwich for dinner, because I'm sorry, I am too busy to cook, okay? I got important business going on here. I got a fucking social media empire I'm trying to run. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. So at some point, when I hear the knife scraping across the toast, and I'm like, can you believe that? And he's like, honey, who the hell's Shannon Smith? I said, it's that school shooter's mother's attorney. Oh, yeah. I said, in all the years, now this is the truth. In all the years I have been watching trials. I've been watching trials before they were televised, okay? I, right here, watched it live on VHS. O.J. Simpson and the White Bronco Chase. I watched that bastard every time he went to court. In fact, my mother-in-law and I would watch it on VHS because that's what you had to do. And my God, let me tell you, there was more than one Saturday where, like, my mother-in-law, this is hilarious, and I'm sure she's listening. She'll get, and I know you remember this. This would be the pattern. Every weekend, I'd go to my mother-in-law's house, and I'd work on my skin cancer in her pool. I'd float around on a raft like the goddess that I was. And of course, it was perfect because her pool was not screened. Because, we don't want to filter out any UV that could possibly later turn into skin cancer. No, I mean, we didn't have self-tan. So, I would come over Saturday morning, laze around in the pool for a few hours. She always liked to sleep late. But, about 1, 2 o'clock, I'd be, burnt to a crisp. And then it was time. She was awake. She had her coffee and she'd be laying in the bed. She had a giant, I think it was a California king. It was at least a king. Huge. And, she had sliders that looked out to the pool. Beautiful home. And she'd be in the bed with her, 87,000 pillows behind her. And she'd have a 2-liter of Diet Coke, quite possibly some Seagram 7, just depending on when the party was really going to get started. At least a couple packs of cigarettes with a giant ashtray. And at the time I smoked too. And a box of Entenmann's donuts. Those the chocolate ones where it's really just it's like wax. I don't know what that is. I don't know why they call that chocolate. I don't know why they call them donuts. But she was a big fan of those. And we would lay in the bed, huffing cigarettes, possibly having happy hour, depending on what time we started. And we would get caught up in all the OJ drama because, she worked. She had a job. And boy, there was more than one Saturday where, woo! I think she might have invented some expletives that had never before been uttered. Because, sometimes the VCR, you'd have to set it on a timer to record. And, there was a time or two when it didn't work. And then the whole damn day was like, what the hell? There was no court TV. There was none of that shit. Actually, I think it was either Menendez or OJ that really made court TV explode. I cannot remember which one, but I've watched them all. Okay. To say that Shannon Smith is one of the strangest defense attorneys I've seen. Yeah. Shannon is, there was more than one time during this trial where I thought Shannon, I was holding my breath because I was pretty sure she was going to have a Sharon Stone moment. Because, she's a fan of the short skirts, which, girl, I get it. You got good legs. She's got a great figure. I would not have put her in any of that shit because I wouldn't dress a client like they were from circa 1995. She's a big fan of the monochromatic. What Karen McDonald wore yesterday, perfect. Very dark navy blue dress, form-fitting, but not slutty. But old Shannon over there, since Shannon's a fan of the legs and as I was walking my dog, I was thinking, what would I put Shannon in? I would have put her in black, navy blue, khaki, tannish, beige, grayish. She wore pantsuits and skirt suits. I find a pantsuit, not the kind she wears, not Chairman Mao Zedong, Hillary Clinton pajamas suits. I'm talking skinny pant, but not obscenely, not obscenely tight, but skinny pant, or even a straight leg, hell, even a wide leg, with a white ruffled blouse underneath. Like, think kind of a little zhuzhed up Ralph Lauren ad. I'd have put her in theory. There are beautiful business attire that doesn't need to look like Hillary, like she raided Hillary Clinton's closet. Okay. And that's just what she looked like to me. But yeah, so I'm going to excoriate everything about her in just a few minutes. She's weird. Okay. Your Honor. Yeah, I know. Is that a legal term? I don't know, but listen, I don't claim to be a shrink. No, that's another channel. Allegedly innocent. She used to be Jules of Thought. When I had my first channel, I was a big fan of. I'm still a fan of Jules, and I used to say before a video or a live, I'm not a shrink. I just play one on YouTube. But if you want a real shrink, go watch Jules of Thought at that time. But she's a strange woman. Okay, she's strange. She's immature. She's unprofessional, in my opinion. Don't worry, I have a lot of other thoughts for her that I'm getting ready to enlighten you and her on. And you might have noticed when we had to come back for part 2. Well, I'm sitting here going, what the fuck? What is poking me? That would be this gigantic safety pin. Because I think what I am wearing is a dress. I think it's actually a bathrobe. And it's not made for a little short person. This is made for somebody tall. And there's no it has a tie, but like a wrap dress has the little piece on the inside, so you can. There's none of that there. So I'm like, oh well, I'll just use I found this giant ass safety pin thing. Yeah, it's not working. Not working so well. But yeah, Shannon's mighty interesting, to say the least. This is going to go to a part 3 because she went on for quite a while. So Crazy Nurse back again. Amethyst Moon back again. I appreciate that. Hey, True Texan, back for the first time. Mama Bear back. Thank you so much. Hey, Kathy P, how are you? Hi, D, how you doing? Hi, Zen, how are you? Hi, Rachel. Hey, Laura, how are you? Oh, okay. Yeah, send me a picture. True Jedi, how are you? Ducking Fox. Oh, these earrings are pinching me. Hey, Grandma Sherry, how are you? Yeah, well, that goes without saying. I mean, come on. Let's keep the leaderboard. Here we go. Hair, Shannon, hands down. Wardrobe, Shannon, hands down. IQ score, Shannon, hands down. Legal knowledge, Shannon, hands down. Betty, girl, we can't even get you on the damn board. What's come on, we can't leave our girl hanging out here with nothing. What's she bring? Oh, complete and utter lack of awareness and the absolute ability to have no care about looking like a complete, utter, moronic fool. That one might be a draw. Oh, God. Yeah, Shannon, I'm not a fan of Shannon. I'm really not. My husband just needs this to get done. Okay. He's like, oh, for the love of God, please put this woman in jail. All right, so let's just get into this. But yeah, Shannon's wardrobe, it's not tragic. And I'm not expecting all of these women like obviously they got big important jobs. But I do too. And and um I can do better. Shannon, the reason I hashtagged your name, baby doll, and I'm gonna make sure that's the right hashtag because guess what I found out yesterday? You're about to find out too. Shannon, much like Betty. Shannon feels some type of way about people on the internet talking about her. Oh boy. Yeah. And oh, that's all I needed to hear was, well, Shannon, I know apparently you do a lot of research on TikTok, girl. Please tell me you've come to the dark side, Shannon. Come to the dark side of YouTube. I really want Shannon to. I'm hoping she'll, as she's Googling herself, you never know. Maybe she'll see this. And at the very least, she might take some of my fashion advice. Quit sitting side saddle. That's number one. If you're going to wear a skirt that short, girl, you cannot sit side saddle. I mean, no, not a good look. All right. I'm going to present and then we're going to full screen it and then we're just going to get going. I will tell you that Karen McDonald did a great job. It was very appropriate. There was nothing, there were no histrionics, no over the top. That's all for Shannon. Hold on a minute. I got it. Okay, there we go. I kind of, Karen McDonald is a professional, a quintessential professional. I don't know how long she's been an attorney, but I have a feeling she's had a long career in the prosecutor's office. I cannot say the same for Shannon. I don't find her to be professional at all. I think she had a very flippant attitude many times during this trial that was just gross. Like, ma'am, read the room, bitch. Okay, time and place, read the room. She's prone, like Betty, she's prone to histrionic temper tantrums. What do I think about her prowess as an attorney? Not a lot. I just have a hard time getting past, and let's not forget, Larry Nassar's in prison forever. She was his attorney, although she didn't have much to work with there. And I don't think she has much to work with here. I have two questions before we get going on this. Number one, I'm trying to, which is more important? Or which would I like to know more? And I'm not sure. So I'll just say the one I can remember off the top of my head. Who is paying for this? Jennifer Crumbly and her husband, James, they have been locked up for about 2 years now. Their $6,000 that was in what's her name's purse, Jennifer, and Jennifer's an odd duck. Okay, here's the way I look at it. They came out of the gate in opening telling you that Shannon said Jennifer will testify. Well, that to me says, listen, we know we're fucked and we're just going to go ahead and we're throwing the Hail Mary before we've even got the first down. I'm sure that football reference is all screwed up, but it is the best I could do. I don't understand the shit. I just know the word flag on the play. That's the one I know and I understand. Flag on the play. So I kind of feel like for them to come out of the gate they either feel that strongly that they've got a slam dunk, not guilty, and no way in hell did they think that, or it was a Hail Mary. Like, we're fucked, and there's nothing she's going to say that's going to make this any worse than it already is. But it is possible that she could say something that would make it better. So that's my question number one. Who is paying for this? Is Shannon doing this pro bono? I mean, I guess the court would, I'm not sure how this works, but I think it is possible that the court could be, because they obviously, I think they could claim indigent status. I don't think they had, I mean, they had a house, very small, gallon of gas and a match is almost what it needed. Filthy. I mean, she was a pig. Okay. Jennifer Crumbly was busy riding, not just horses. She should have been riding her fucking broom and her vacuum cleaner around the house, because that place was a disgusting pigsty. But you know, she was very busy with other important things. Hey Beverly, how are you? Ducking Fox. I prefer to call that karma. Yeah, the carbs. Oh, heavy starch commissary diet. Yeah, not good. Oh, she looked, listen, there was nothing wrong with the way she looked when she got arrested. I mean, she's a very just average, normal looking woman. But whoo, the karma and the carb gods have not been kind to her. And, you know, that just gives me a little warm fuzzy. Yeah, I think I said the last time I was live about this, that the having no desire to see what I actually look like and what color hair I have, I have no interest in that. And that's, you know, besides the fact that I'm just a good citizen, that's a large part of the reason I don't commit crimes, because I'm not a fan of ramen, and I don't need to know what color my hair is. Anyway, I believe there could be, the court might take whatever would have been reasonably paid to a appointed defense attorney to retained counsel. I don't know how that works, but that just kept going through my mind, is how are they paying for this? And, you know, Shannon has had other big cases, so I don't know that. I mean, a lawyer trying to make their bones, I can see where, no, Rachel Shannon is not court appointed. Shannon is retained. And her partner is also retained for the husband. At least they were. But so that was my other question. And this one, even more so, I think, than that, is what I have asked myself many times. How do you think they decided? And when I say they, I mean the parties who are still married, Jennifer and James. She said on the stand the other day, they have not spoken in 2 years since all this started. Yeah, I guess you can't hit up the men's wing and say, oh, hey, girl, can you do me a favor when you get a minute? Can you go see if James is busy? Oh, if he's doing his paint by numbers, don't bother him. Oh, and if he's in the shower, yeah, definitely don't bother him. So they're still married, still a couple, despite the fact that they haven't spoken in 2 years. They are represented by partners in this one's law firm, Shannon's law firm. How did they decide who went to trial first? Because let's think about this. Obviously, if this is a conviction, and I am very much hoping it is, because I think the state proved their case. I think Jennifer was a fucking weirdo. She's got a real strange affect. I think she's maybe a lot like her son. Not homicidal, but odd. She's strange. Okay. If you watched her from the stand, she's fucking strange. How about when they asked her at the very end, Shannon said to her, if you could go back and do anything different about the way you parented Ethan, would you? No. What? I'd have bitch slapped her into next week if I was her lawyer. No, that's not the answer. Your Honor, may I have a brief recess to go whip my client's ass around the corner? No, the answer is yes. So if she's convicted, what does that mean for hubby? What I think it will mean for hubby is, hey, Karen, give me a call when you have a minute. We'd like to talk about a plea deal. And hopefully she says, fuck you. The time for that was 2 years ago. Hey, Brittany. That's the thing. I don't know. And just me thinking out loud. Of the two of them, James and Jennifer, just based on the things I've seen, I think they've got it mixed up. I think she's more the husband and he's more the wife. He does not strike me as being the sharpest knife in the block. I think she was a very domineering control freak who apparently liked to get her swerve on with, well, she liked to slide down the fireman's pole. And I personally I know I have heard it in somewhere in my life, adult friend finder. But until this trial, I didn't know what the fuck that was. And I still don't, but I don't think it's about getting together to ride horses. That was one of Shannon's very inappropriate moments of many. When the prosecutor said something about, they were arguing some motion. Oh, it was we're not even going there. But he was going, they were like, okay, what are you going to, the judge gave the prosecutor, because of some evidence that came in because Jennifer unknowingly opened the door, it turned into a big thing, and they were given very, very, very strict parameters on, let's just say it like this. The door only got open a little teeny tiny bit, and it wasn't even enough to stick your foot in. And the judge, said this scope is going to be very, 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 very narrow. So as they're, hashing out how narrow it's going to be and what can be said, something comes, he makes, I think he said to the judge, he being Mark Keast, I think he said something along the lines of, okay, well, I propose to ask her about, what is adult friend finder, something like that. And Shannon says, well, yeah, we all might blush. She's just fucking clueless. She is. But see, I find Shannon odd too. That's why I think she and old Jennifer were probably simpatico, because I find Shannon to be odd. I think if Shannon is this odd, on full display for the world, people all over the world are watching this. This could be the very first case of its kind that sets a precedence and puts parents on notice. If you have firearms in your home and you have a, no matter what, lock them up. And if you have a child who is displaying signs of needing mental help, get it for them. Or you could be, I will be, Wouldn't be the first time I've been shocked by a verdict, but I will be shocked beyond all belief if she's not guilty. But to be this weird and inappropriate and cringy in front of all the world, I'm sure that carries through to part. I mean, truly, I was so blown away by almost the entirety of this argument. So, yeah, I guess it's time to let her rip. I really, the suit she's wearing, would I have put her in that? No. It's circa 1999, 2000-ish. I'm not a fan of that large scale plaid. I mean, I think it looks cheap, but is it offensive? No, but let's just say I take more care to come and play YouTube commentator in my office. I'm not sure why. I know not all women care about fashion. I get it. But if you're going to be on the world stage, I think Shannon could afford to hire a stylist.
As the prosecutor finished, she said, "This is shocking, unthinkable." I believe there were other words used throughout trial. Unbelievable. Obviously, unbelievable, unthinkable, unfathomable. And the reason that's the case is because...
Can you all hear that okay? It is really low on my end. Hey, SoFlo. Just somebody let me know if you can hear it all right. I've got it turned up all the way. I'm just going to have to really pay attention to it. Okay. All right. Carry on, Shannon.
It was unforeseeable. No one expected this. No.
And that's because your clients are self-absorbed dipshits.
No one could have expected this.
No, I could have. I could have just looked at him.
Mrs. Crumbly. Now, the first thing I want to do very quickly is talk to you about the burden of proof. In the state of Michigan, there are different burden of proofs depending on what kind of a case it is. Mm-hmm. When people sue for money and say, I've been injured or I was failed by the school even, there will be civil lawsuits and the burden of proof is a preponderance of evidence. That means it's about a 50-50 standard. And if you have 50...
She's got those weird fingers that it's something with the joints. Watch when she loves to point her finger. See how mine is like riddled with arthritis, but her first knuckle, it has an upturn.
% of the evidence, that's the burden of proof for civil. When the state thinks it's important to take away a person's children, the burden goes up, and the burden has to prove more evidence, and that specifically is clear and convincing evidence that
it's too bad they hadn't done that, and then maybe we wouldn't have had to get here. Just saying. And I'm not sure why she's wasting time on this. The judge is going to give this whole spiel. So this is
correct for the state to be taking away a person's children.
No living being should ever eat processed food for every single meal of their life.
Now, the highest burden in this country is in a criminal case, and that is beyond a reasonable doubt. And the reason I'm telling you about the differences in the burdens is because in a criminal case, if you have just one reasonable doubt about the case, you must vote not guilty. And so this is my poster just showing beyond a reasonable doubt is guilty.
Well, look at that, Shannon. Apparently you do know something about the color wheel, or your assistant does.
but there's many, many other options. If you think it's likely, probable, possible, not likely, those are all not guilties. You have to be sure beyond a reasonable doubt.
Sort of, kinda.
And later, as I go through my closing, I am going to tell you the reasonable doubts that the defense believes exist in this case for you to look at.
We can't wait. So could you hurry up and get to it, please? I've been waiting for 2 weeks for this.
The other thing I have to ask you to keep in mind is that in the jury instructions, and I think you've been told this throughout trial, the defense does not have to prove or do anything. Like Judge Matthews said, we could sit at the table and play chess the whole time, call no witnesses, cross-examine
Shannon, I don't see you as a chess player, honey.
no witnesses, provide no evidence, because we have no burden to prove a thing. However, in this case, you obviously saw the defense present
with my
Mrs.
hand.
Hundley, who took the stand, so that she could give you some context beyond parts of the evidence that were confusing when the prosecutor was introducing in bits and pieces.
Not only does Shannon, she's a big fan of pointing, she gets into your personal space.
And the problem in this case is that we can all agree everything can be seen different in two ways. First of all, when you look back in hindsight with 20/20 vision, when you look back in hindsight, it is easy to say, this could have been different, that could have been different, this would have changed. And the other circumstance, the second one that makes a huge difference, is when you get full context around the evidence that is being used. And in this case, the prosecutor has cherry-picked little bits of evidence out of mountains of evidence.
Here comes her stacks.
To put in front of you with no context to explain.
Well, Shannon, it's all there for the reading, should they want it. I mean, she wants it both ways all the time. They cherry picked. Look at all this, and they cherry picked. And then 5 minutes later, you'll get, well, Your Honor, I'm only one person. Look at all this evidence I have to go through. Oh, shut up.
What they're doing. And when you get cherry-picked bits of evidence, it's easy to reach wrong conclusions. Now, during jury selection, it felt like the prosecutor was asking you questions and giving more of a campaign speech than a jury selection proceeding.
Is Karen McDonald the state's attorney for the state of Michigan? Because she must be, because I'm assuming that's an elected position, and they wouldn't be electing assistant state's attorneys.
And I would suggest to you that at the end of the day, the only judge, although Miss McDonald mentioned.
If you notice, I could see this much more clear when I was watching it on my good TV. Karen McDonald's laptop, she's got pictures of each victim that she's probably, my guess is that she has had those. Anytime she's not using her laptop for, exhibits or whatnot, I think that's probably what she looked at.
She's been a judge and was a judge.
And I personally think that when they showed the surveillance footage of the shooter on his rampage, mowing those kids down in cold blood, I think that they should have forced his mother to watch, because it's funny. That is the only place she showed any emotion, which if she actually fucking looked, then I would say, okay, well, clearly she has some remorse. She has some contrition. I didn't see anywhere else. And to me, because she wouldn't look at it, I find it hard to believe it was for the 4 that were killed. I think it was probably that was representative of everything she lost. As she reminded us at the end of her testimony, I don't want to call myself a victim, but I've lost everything. No, bitch, you haven't lost everything. And that's what I was screaming as I was watching it in real time. No, bitch, you haven't lost everything. Your bag of shit, evil fuck, he's still alive. Unfortunately. That's too bad we can't right that wrong. But no, you haven't lost everything. I mean, I get it. But I believe they should have forced her to watch what her negligence caused.
Several times during her jury selection, the only judge in this courtroom that matters is Judge Matthews. And the only other people whose judgment matters are the 12 of you who will collectively decide this case.
Like, Shannon, I don't have a problem with you using your hands. I do it. But, like, are you an air traffic controller? Are you, like, at the pulpit? What are you doing? It's so weird. This bitch is weird. Oh, God, I can't stand her.
The rest of us don't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. Ms. McDonald's doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
The opinions
more than
of
others.
everyone in this audience doesn't matter. The media and all of the people who think they know everything behind keyboards at home commenting about what they think the evidence in this case has shown. So during this case, it's obvious real life is messy and complicated.
Yeah, no shit, Shannon. I've had plenty of real life messy, complicated. My house never looked like a hoarder lived in it. And yeah.
And during this trial, I will openly admit that I'm a lawyer who messes up. I get thrown off when I'm surprised by something. I feel like I get overwhelmed when information is coming at me quickly. I say I'm sorry a lot. Evidently, there's a TikTok channel of.
Then I guess it's a good idea you didn't decide to be a trauma surgeon. Oh,
Me
here's
saying
what
I'm
the
sorry
TikTok.
through this whole trial. And
Wait, we got to back that.
all I'm saying is that
10. Let's because I want you to make sure you hear what
I'm human.
Like,
TikTok
this is all
channel of
about
me
Shannon
saying I'm
here.
sorry through this whole trial. And all I'm saying is that
I got to go back a little more because it's hilarious. You got to hear.
I feel like I get overwhelmed when information is coming at me quickly. I say I'm sorry a lot. Evidently, there's a TikTok channel of me saying I'm sorry through this whole trial. And
Well, Shannon, come to YouTube, girl. If you think TikTok pissed you off, oh boy. Well, maybe don't come to YouTube.
And all I'm saying is that I'm human. I am a human being, and so is Mrs. Crumbly.
That's debatable.
And that's what this case is about. She's not a perfect person or a perfect parent. I'm certainly not a perfect person or a perfect parent. And I'm
Nobody cares what kind of parent you are.
certainly, beyond a reasonable doubt, bad with technology.
Like, it's not even just what she says, it's the way she says it. I'm certainly, without a doubt, terrible with technology. It's like, ew! God! Gross! She's so weird. This is just the beginning. If you have not seen this, I'm just gonna, spoiler alert, she makes this entire thing about her.
Which is why you're not going to see me touch that laptop.
Weirdest thing I've ever seen.
This is how AG1 works to upgrade your health routine. By combining
So during this trial, I have stood before you and shown you all my flaws, and I embrace them, and they are a part of what makes me human.
Shannon, honey, is this your Oscar acceptance speech? What is this? Is this your campaign speech? Shannon, it's not about you. I mean, I have to think that this crumbly idiot is just sitting there going, Shannon, Shannon, remember me?
And so has Jennifer Crumbly. She got on the stand and talked about every nook and cranny of her life, things no one else in the world knew, in her family, among her friends.
You mean the fact that she was having an affair and was also swinging, just not with her husband, with her boyfriend. That's funny. By looking at her, I wouldn't peg her as being that girl. But and you know what, Shannon? None of that shit would have come out if your client hadn't opened the door. I mean, like, didn't y'all have this little talk? That was going to stay on the down low.
And she wanted you to see the whole truth, the entire truth, and nothing but the truth on everything. Where she had to show you that she has made immoral decisions to have an affair, that she has made decisions you might not make to have another person involved in the affair.
Definitely not.
Now, we didn't get too far into the details, but it was enough for you to know that Mrs. Crumbly got up there.
Can I just say that I'm not quite sure what I'm not sure what is the glue that like held this marriage together, because she's cheating on him. She's swinging with the guy she's cheating with. She rides James. Not like she rides everything else. Like a rented mule, she rides him about, are you up? I mean, she testified that when he would lose a job, that she'd be the one who'd find job interviews for him and tell him, she'd fill it out and tell him what time to be at the interview. I mean, just fucking weird. Like, was like he one of her kids? Because I think she had her very own separate private life that did not include him. So it's kind of weird.
And literally stripped off her armor, let the prosecution cross-examine her and show you what happened in her messy life. And I say that with all kindness because I'm a mess too.
Check.
I saw a meme about a week ago that said, I'm trying to be a mom, trying to get exercised, stay hydrated, get enough sleep, text everyone back, and not lose my shit. And I've got to be honest, as a mom.
I mean, I'm sorry. We've all seen those memes. And that's super appropriate to send around to your girlfriends when you're commiserating over girls' night, or, just your chitty chat that you do with your friends in the morning, in the afternoon, whatever it is. I mean, I found it to be, let me tell you something. If that bitch's evil bastard son, if I was sitting in that courtroom because the fruit of her poison loins killed my child, and that bitch stood up there and talked about a meme, I'm trying to hold my shit together. It's so insanely inappropriate. It's flippant. It's just vile. It's so gross. And I hope the jury sends her a very fucking clear message. I mean, obviously, Shannon's not on trial, but and if I was sitting in that courtroom and I had to listen to this bitch, we'd be having a trial of an entirely different kind.
a working mom on most days, I'm lucky if I'm fit for human contact.
It's not about you. My God, what the fuck is wrong with her? And I'm telling you, brace yourself, because the whole thing, this is it. It's all about Shannon. Shannon, did you kill somebody? If not, then why are we talking about you? We don't give a fuck about you. We don't even like you. I don't even like you in the context of your job. I don't care what you do when you're not making bad. Oh God, I cannot stand her.
I'm lucky if I've taken a true shower and didn't just grab a handful of wipes and scrub off the best I can on my way running out the door, putting on my makeup as I drive to court in my car.
Well, putting on your makeup, since you brought it up, take that lipstick that's the color of baby diarrhea and throw it in the garbage. Don't ever wear that again. I have yet to see the woman on earth that can rock that color. And if they can't, you can't. Okay, so that's first things first. That'll save you, maybe 30 seconds. So get rid of that. I don't know, Shannon, maybe get a nanny, get a fucking maid, get another alarm clock, have a shower installed in your car. I don't know. Better yet, why don't you put a shower at your office since you're such a busy working mom? Are you for real? There is no circumstance in this world where I would ever stand up and willingly tell all of the world that here I am, a professional woman. I don't care if you've got 4 kids, 400 kids, 1 kid. I don't care. And say, some days I'm so busy, I don't even shower. I just use those little wipes. What is wrong with you? Your Honor, I'll state again for the record, it's not about you, Shannon. I mean, you should have seen me yesterday. I was fucking coming unglued. I'd have thrown a brick through my TV if I'd had one.
Because my life is not perfect and no one's is.
No, I don't have a perfect life, far from it. But I also don't have a child that killed 4 people. So, let's talk apples and apples, not apples and first-degree murderers, okay?
And during this trial, you may have concluded that you don't like me, that you hate me. That's fine. I am just asking that your opinions about me as a person, and if you're one of the people who plans to make a TikTok about me.
No, bitch, I don't do TikTok, but I am dragging you for filth. Let's see, who was the last person I drug for filth like this? I told somebody they were going to need knee pads or assless chaps. No, I told somebody they needed to get their chaps because I was going to drag them. Maybe you can borrow them. Knee pads. I don't know. Get something. Oh, God. Shannon, yet again, this is not about you, Shannon. It's not about you. I'm glad you have a little bit of awareness, though, as to how the social media realm must feel about you. I mean, I don't go around checking like you do, but I will definitely take your word for it.
That you won't hold those opinions against Jennifer Crumbley and will judge Jennifer Crumbley's case based on the evidence about her. And
check. I hate her separate from you. I don't hate either one of you. I just have absolutely zero use for either one of you.
Her family. And if you hate her or don't like her or agree with things she's done, that's okay too. You don't have to like her. You are not expected to go hang out with her when this is all over. After trial, you don't have to.
That's you might be putting the horse before the cart here, honey. You might want to slow your roll on that. I don't think anybody's going to the Buffalo Wild Wings with her after, I don't think so. I think her diet's going to be heavily skewed to ramen for the foreseeable future.
To decide if you want to go to her house. You don't have to have Thanksgiving with her. But when
no, because remember, nobody will have Thanksgiving with her because she set her oven on fire. My guess would be was because her house was so filthy and disgusting that maybe the 3 articles of clean clothing that between the 3 people that lived there, uh, they probably had to put them in the oven because it was the only place that was sealed off and safe from what I'm assuming had to have been running around in there. I mean, here was a new one. She actually said, Jennifer Crumbly actually said on direct by her attorney, we all saw pictures of your house. She had all these reasons why it looked the way it did. And by looked the way it did, disgusting hoarder. She said, and we heard that your son had, wait for this, 900 square foot house, very small house, 3 people living in it. Apparently had 3 bedrooms. Her son had 2 bedrooms. And when her attorney said, and why did your son have 2 bedrooms? Well, I'm just really bad about cleaning and I was really overwhelmed and we were going to do it. And I just closed the door. I didn't want to look at it anymore. And once it just got to be so much stuff everywhere, I didn't want to deal with it. So I just shut the door and told him to go use the other bedroom. What? Well, maybe while you were sliding down the fire pole, riding horses, finding friends, I don't know, maybe you should have been like dialing up Merry Maids. Just, ugh.
When you're looking at the evidence in this case, it's important to set aside your opinions of her or take your opinions of me and supplant them on Mrs. Crumbly.
Pick me. I just have a question. What if we hate you both? Okay, just making sure.
Recordings just got better.
I understand we can only.
Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local recordings are now available on StreamYard.
Now, when I took on this case pretty early on, I realized I am Jennifer Crumbly and I could be here accused and sitting in her spot very easily.
In the history of closing our this is a first. I've never in my life heard anything like this. Not in this context. There is no world in which I would ever stand up, even if I was just like Jennifer Crumbly, which I'm not. Even if I was, there's no world in which I would stand up and say, I am her. She is me. We are one and the same. What? Shannon, you got problems coming, girl. Problems.
Now, in my house, we don't have guns.
Thank God.
I don't have guns, but I do have children.
Oh.
And actually, I have an oopsie baby, my 4th one. I did not want 4 in 4 years, but that's what.
You are disgusting. Honest to God, you're that bitch that gives attorneys the reputation they have. What a disgusting fucking thing to say. That is so foul. I feel sorry for this lady's kids. Honest to God. And I don't give a shit if this is just some warped like trial strategy. What kind of a mother? And listen, I've known some women who were not good mothers. I have. You are on the world stage and you just told the whole world that you're a terrible mother because you're just like her and that you have an oopsie baby and you didn't want 4 in 4 years. And there's more coming, but I don't care. It's disgusting. It's vile. It's tacky. I feel terrible for her children. I mean, it's just gross. And there's no need for it. I don't know why she thinks this fucking weirdo like trauma bonding is endearing her client to this jury. Does she think they're that dumb? Or does she think they like her that much? Like, oh, I'm just like her and I could never do what? I mean, it's just so fucking weird.
What I was blessed with. I say I'm abundantly blessed. And
Oh, so that makes it all okay.
I have kids that seem to have no issues.
So,
And at the end of the
just
day,
wait.
they're good kids. They go to school. We have no discipline problems. We have arguments here and there, just like every family does. I have a son that wants to hang out with me very rarely, but I have no belief
Gosh, I can't
that
imagine
any
why.
of my 4 children would ever harm anyone else. And while I don't have a gun, I have a large butcher block on my counter.
Do you have a bird head in your house? Your 900 square foot, probably kitchen. Forget the house. Do you need a backhoe or a forklift to clean your kid's room? Like, I'm just wondering, since you're just like her.
With big knives that I use when I cook. And
I hate this stupid fucking analogy people try and do. I've had arguments with my husband over this when we'll fight about, control. And he'll say this kind of thing. This to me is a straw man, but what are we going to do? We're going to take all the knives away in the world? No, but apples and
I enjoy cooking. And at the end of the day,
you enjoy cooking. Well, when do you find time to cook? Bitch, you don't eat. You just told the whole world you don't even shower daily. You don't have time. You're so busy. You just, use those wipes.
my kids could just as easily grab a knife without me knowing it and without me having it on my radar and walk out the door of my house and go play with their kids, the other kids on my block. Granted, they live farther down my block because I'm in the middle of nowhere. And my son could kill somebody with my butcher block knife that I would have never expected to happen. And if you saw the text messages.
Oh, but Shannon, she never checked his phone for text messages. So there is that
My husband and I exchanged on a daily basis throughout this past year and even years before. It would be so easy for me to be in her seat.
Well, you just said your kids haven't killed anybody, so I don't think you're going to be in her seat.
With my kids, I don't monitor assignments.
Why not? Does your husband maybe?
I don't look at their phones. I have no reason to.
You're a fucking fool. You have every reason to. That is one of the dumber things I've ever heard. Again, I don't care if you think your child is a choir boy, is going to grow up to be a man or woman of the cloth. The fact that they're adolescents or maybe middle school, who knows, living in the world we live in, and you can't even be bothered to check their phone. I don't know. How about maybe there could be somebody that they're in communication with, unbeknownst to them, that's dangerous or could be a predator. Yeah, no, I get it, Shannon. I see no, unless you're worried your kid is going to kill somebody. Yeah, no, there's no there. No reason to check their phones.
My son plays a lot of video games.
A lot of video games.
My son's online talking to a bunch of people as he's playing a lot of video games. Even though he has a cell phone, I don't
How many headsets have you bought, Shannon?
go through it and look at his messages every day. And as he gets older, I do know he's interested in girls. If he starts receiving nude pictures of a girl on the cell phone I own, but let him use and gave him for his birthday when he turned 11, should I be held accountable?
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen, because you just told the whole world that you have no reason to look at your kids' phones. None of it. And again, apples and airplanes.
For receiving child
We're talking 4 dead kids, not, and my God, I hope they're not doing, ugh.
pornography, if a girl sexts him over some inappropriate pictures, if my son decides he's going to send some pictures back and takes a nude picture of his bits and pieces, that's a 20-year felony.
That's not this kind of case. So why are you talking about it? And it's not the same thing. And to answer your question, no, I don't think you should be, unless there's a clear pattern of being negligent, like your client. But carry on.
Am I then responsible because he sent a picture of his penis over to some girl? So not only taking the picture, a 20-year felony, but then we've got a 7-year felony for sending it over. Can every parent really be responsible for everything their children do?
Well, there's all different levels of that, Shannon. You could be like your client and be absolutely 1,000,000% negligent, uninterested, have 0 fucks to give if it gets in the way of any of your recreational activities. Oh, I'm sorry, except for when she's being a helicopter parent. I mean, there's a continuum of, it's not just one answer, one size fits all. But I think if your child commits a crime and it can be shown that this was a pattern that went on over a protracted period of time where you were too busy, or for whatever reason, you were not keeping tabs, at least what would be, the average accepted norm. I mean, so much of what she's putting forth here, it's like a straw man. Because none of that shit has anything to do with what her client is sitting in that chair for. It's not about CP. It's not about nudes. It just, it's all just, I don't understand her, where she is. It's like, where are you going with this?
Especially when it's not foreseeable. And this clearly was not foreseeable to Mrs. Crumbly.
Well, she's one of a select few who can say it was not foreseeable. I don't even know the dumb bitch or her evil bastard son. And I could see, just from the little bit we've seen in the media, it looked like it might have been a safe bet. I think I'd have put my money on him doing so. I think the odds were pretty good that he was going to do something unfortunate that would, that society would then have to pay for.
Because there's no one in the world, including Mrs. Crumbly, who would have let a school shooting happen and let what happened on November 30th take place. Not only ruining the lives of so many families and victims and taking the lives of 4 young people, but also ruining her own son's life and ripping his life right from her as well.
I don't think she was that interested in her son's life, except if it was convenient for her. That's not being a good parent.
She would be the first person on the planet who would have never let that happen in a million years.
Why? Because when he was 7 years old, she saw a mole on his back, and let's give her a medal because she took him to the doctor because it changed colors. I mean, I've got 3 cats that live in my house. One is the mother and her 2 offspring. And she's slightly more maternal than your client seems to be. And when I say slightly, I mean at least 50% of the time, she's quite literally mauling her offspring. So
Hi, Mark Barden at Sandy Hook Promise here. When the gunman shot his way into Sandy Hook Elementary School on December 14th, 2012, he loaded his AR-15 with...
I can't watch that.
So this case is a very dangerous one for parents out there. It just is. And it is one of the first of its kind. Luckily, however, this is a case where the prosecution cannot meet its burden of proof. And thankfully, it's a case where truly Mrs. Crumbly does have a defense. And this isn't just one of those stretched cases where a parent is liable for what their child has done. Now, the judge is going to tell you that you have to, if you find reasonable doubt in this case, you must find the defendant not guilty. And the law says you must have a reasonable doubt, not 3 reasonable doubts, not 5 reasonable doubts, not 10. If you have a single reasonable doubt, you must vote not guilty for Mrs. Crumbly.
Please.
And when it comes to reasonable doubt, each of you can have a separate reason to have doubt in this case. You don't have to agree on what the doubt is. And for that reason, what I am going to do is show you all of the doubts that the defense believes exist in this matter. Some of them may speak to one juror, some of them may speak to another, but at the end of the day, if you have just one, your vote in this case must be not guilty. So the first place the defense finds reasonable doubt is in the fact that the prosecution is so desperate to prosecute this case that they admitted a mountain of evidence that, quite frankly, was unnecessary. Now, they say to you they needed to show you, they needed to prove the manner of death. We stipulated that 4 people died. We stipulated.
Listen to her tone. We stipulated. Well, don't you think that you owe them that much? I mean, oh, I want to punch this bitch. Yes, Shannon, we know. You would have very much loved it if we could have just, we stipulate, Your Honor. Yeah, we no need to see. No, we don't need to see all that bullshit. And your shitbag client should have been made to see the handiwork of her son. I mean, that is, to me, that's one of the most. She said something similar in the beginning of the trial, and I think there were words. Oh, she said, "We, Your Honor, we stipulated. They don't, they're parading these horrible videos," or whatever she said. And man, they both jumped up out of McDonald and Keith. Both were like, "Wait a minute." I mean, it's so gross. It's just gross. I mean, but she would have loved that. She would have thought that was just great to, we stipulate. Because, I promise you, she did not want the jury to have to see that. And unfortunately, they'll never unsee it. And if you've never seen traumatic pictures, all I would say is, if you have a choice, it is very much true that once you see something, you cannot unsee it. So think carefully before you voluntarily look at something that you can't unsee.
That it was the most horrific set of facts you could ever imagine. We stipulated that what happened to Molly Darnell and Christy Gibson Marshall was horrible. But this prosecution, putting that evidence on, was designed to inflame you and make you emotional strike your
Please,
sympathy,
Shannon.
and get you to
Yes.
hate Mrs. Crumbly, which, by the way, has been very effective.
I know I, for one, hated her long before trial. So there's that. Guess that's why I would never be on her jury.
For most of the media, most of the public, and for anyone who has seen information put out by this prosecutor in this case. A second reasonable doubt comes from the fact that we know, and the evidence in this case showed, context is key.
Cards.
And that was clear when Detective Wygrowski took the stand.
Oh, yeah, I think he was the one that they had to take a recess for. The career, decades-long detective who was so distraught over what he saw. That one?
And said, you get better decisions when you have more evidence, and testified that in a former hearing, he messed up because he didn't have the video from before the one he saw. So he believed the parents arrived at the school together, and subsequently, when given more context, showing more video from further beforehand, he could see they actually arrived in different cars.
And what difference does that make, Shannon? None.
Met and walked in the building together.
Who cares?
And at the end of the day, the more context you have, the more accurate you can be. When Brian Maloche testified, another example came about where the prosecution had him testify that Mrs. Crumley said to delete his messages, clear your cache.
It's cash, dumbass. She keeps saying cache. No, Shannon, cache is the store where I would stake my very life. You bought your entire wardrobe in the 90s. I was guilty of buying shit from cache too. BB was another one. I love that shit. Those are my slutty years. I mean, come on, we all have them. Well, you know. I do believe it's cash. And it's just hilarious that, oh yeah, Shannon would have been a cache girl. I bet my life on it. Whoops.
And I'm so thankful that the rest of the world sent me emails that I don't know how to pronounce cache, because now I do. And
wait a minute. Let me go back over in the chat. Is there anybody in the damn chat who knows? Is it cash or is it cache? Listen, I'm still going to drag her, whether it's cash or it's cache. But hello, SW True Crime. Okay, I thought it was cash. Hey, T-Pac, how are you? Hi, Bernadette. It was a perfume in the 80s? Shit, I don't remember that. I was wearing damn Love's Baby Soft in the 80s. I was a Jean Naté woman myself. No, I wasn't. Love's Baby Soft for me. Hi, Gina Marie. How are you? Batten's Lifestyle Collecting. Hello. Sorry, y'all. I've been over in the other window. All right, I'm jumping back over there. But do you see, like, she's so salty. Shannon, can I make a suggestion, please? Honey, look. You are a modern woman who is so busy that you have to shower using baby wipes on the way to work, okay? I've already given you two time-saving measures to, get so you can shower every day. Get rid of that baby diarrhea lipstick, okay? 30 seconds off. What was the other one I told her? Didn't I give her, oh yeah, I told her to put a shower at her office. Shannon, it just went right out of my head. It'll come back. And when it does, what the hell was it? The lipstick, the cash. Oh, yes. Stop going home and trolling the internet for people talking about you. Janet, stop. You might be able to shower every day if you quit Googling yourself. Ignore Shannon, where social media, like, chitter chatter and backlash goes, ignorance is bliss, girl. Kind of like you can't unsee pictures. Don't do it, Shannon. Don't. I mean, someone might say that you're wearing their grandfather's couch as a suit. People can be very nasty.
Seeing the messages before clear your cache and
Cache!
after clear your cache,
Cache!
she realized, oh, she wasn't asking me to delete messages. She wanted me to refresh my web browser to see if the Facebook had actually deactivated.
What about the
And so
friend
that
thing,
was
though?
proof again that when you have more context, you're more
Your Honor,
accurate. And the problem
Your Honor, I just have a question that was not addressed in court, and the defense opened the door, so I'm just going to kick that door wide open. When the Mrs. Crumbly talked about meeting up with her firefighter superhero, sliding down the fire pole, I'm just curious. They said they met at the Costco parking lot. Did they get their swerve on in the Costco parking lot? Or did they? My goodness, they must have had some big motel bills. No-tell, motel, Holiday Inn. I'm serious. I want to know, where were those two doing the deed? Because they said several times that they met. I guess he would be on his way home from his shift. I'll tell you what, of everything that happened, that dude, I felt for that guy to a point. Here, actually, I felt for his wife. That's who I felt for, because when Crumbly's boyfriend got up on the stand, Shannon has trouble making up her mind. She wants to have it always, every way. Have it your way, Shannon. Before trial, there were motions. The judge excluded several things, that explicit orders and instructions were given, that, things pertaining to the affair with the boyfriend were the probative value was vastly outweighed by the prejudicial value. One of those was her piece of shit son's journal, and the relationship with the boyfriend was another thing the judge, had said was too prejudicial to her. Well, he gets up on the stand, and I don't remember what it was, but yet again, the door gets opened, and now, because they waive privilege, they waive what was it? I wasn't privy to what the orders, everything that was excluded before they actually got to court. But basically, this dude, the boyfriend, is going to come on the stand, and it's just, his testimony is just going to be that they were friends, they texted back and forth, and it was going to be about the email exchange regarding the gun and where it was the day they went shooting, Jennifer and the kid. But because of what happened on the stand with the questioning and them deciding to waive the privilege and say, oh, well, you know what, it's okay, we don't care, let it in. That dude, I don't give a shit for him. But based on the follow-up, the redirect of him, my impression was I know it was absolutely unexpected that it was going to actually come out that they had had an affair. And because Redirect, Keist said to him, you didn't plan on any of that coming out, did you, in your testimony? You didn't think any of your affair was going to be discussed? And he said no. And there was some reference made to him he was going to have to speak to his wife. Can you imagine? I mean, I feel bad for the wife. Oh, fuck him. I mean, but there's just been a lot of gross things by her, I think.
Prosecutors in this case is they have very little context for the very little evidence they've submitted.
I do want to know, where'd they go? I mean, you mean to tell me those two are getting it on in the Costco parking lot at 9:30 in the morning? I mean, oh yeah, nothing to see there.
There's also no context around some of this little bits and pieces of useless evidence, like Jennifer Crumbly saying that her son was an oopsie baby. I call my son that, so what?
Well, you know what? I wonder if your son would say the same thing, you stupid bitch. My God. That's so gross to me. I just can't even tell you. I think that is so vile. I would never say such a thing. And my son was not. But even if he was, I would never say such a thing. That is just vile. Listen, when you're chit-chatting with your girlfriends or whatever, yes, women say shit like that. But in front of their kid? No. And I realize her child is not standing there, but I'm sure he's following the trial somewhere. Or you can be sure that some of his friends' parents are following it, and he's going to hear about that. And I don't give a shit. This bitch she can tell herself all day long, all she wants, that, they won't care. I mean, that is a terrible, it's just a shitty, horrible thing to say, especially in light of the fact that she's got 3 other children who I don't think she refers to as an oopsie babe. I mean, it's just tacky. It's tacky, and it just goes to her flippant attitude.
Does that mean I hate my son?
No.
Does that mean I would be okay if he went and killed a bunch of people? And or if he
sakes,
committed suicide? No.
No shit.
Calling your child an oopsie baby was designed to try to make her look bad with no context.
She's made herself.
This is the amazing
One of my favorite brands, one of my favorite technologies.
The Rolls Royce over red light.
Can I just tell you right now?
This is the best my skin has been.
The product is
Having Amanda
any light therapy or laser that you can buy on Amazon or over the internet, they're not going to do, they do not have the strength to do what they tell you they can do.
Holland come in, a coworker who's not a friend to Jennifer Crumbly and has been interviewed by law enforcement to tell you her advice on she should go have a mother-son day with her teenager.
Oh my God, yes, burn that bitch at the stake. What the hell is she thinking? Well, maybe they brought her in to show that clearly she was so self-absorbed and clueless and lazy that she couldn't figure that out on her own. She needed a coworker to suggest something like that.
She's faced with raising toddlers every day. When I heard
when you do understand that toddlers grow up to be big ones, right? If you do it right, hopefully. I mean, what? So what? That woman is less of a parent than I would submit that woman with obviously multiple, because you said toddlers, plural. That woman is, well, unless her toddlers grow up to shoot up a school, she's already far surpassed Crumbly in the maternal department.
Her advice, I thought, yeah, right. I have 3 teenagers. I almost have a 4th.
I know you are.
And personally, not only would they rather do anything else than spend a day with me, I'd rather do anything else.
Like, that bowled me over. Shannon, you're a wretched bag of shit. And I hope you are not truly this fucking weird and cringy. I mean, I hope that was just for effect. I mean, you've already insulted your children and kind of listen, there are female defense attorneys with very high profile cases throughout time that have had to stand up and deliver a closing and advocate voraciously for a bag of shit like your client. And a lot of those were mothers. And I've never heard one throw their children repeatedly under the bus like you. And that right there, that is one of the most vile things I think she has said. I mean, the oopsie baby, is it rude and unkind and gross? In my book, yes, it is. But we all know that teenagers would rather do anything. Well, at least that's what they want you to think. They want you to think that they'd rather do anything but hang out with you. And many times that is the case, but it's not always the case. It's not 100% of the time, 100% of the case. They very much need us. And I would say that in those years, they need us just as much as when they were little tiny ones. They can't do anything, things for themselves. So to say, and you would also rather do anything than hang out with your kids, you're disgusting. You and your disgusting client, you are simpatico. You are of the same, you're kind of cut from the same cloth, it sounds like. So you're going to have her over, if she's acquitted, you're going to have her over for dinner? Maybe you guys can bake cookies for the kids. Oh, that's right. Her kid's in prison for the rest of his useless life. Yeah, there is that.
And we do spend time together, but that's not their first priority when they get to pick what they're going to be doing.
Duh. But that's why we have parents. We don't let them pick everything they want because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
It does not mean she loved her son any less. If she ever told a witness, my son is weird. And part of what made me realize I could be in Mrs. Crumbly's shoes.
Now, weird goes to, she knew. Listen, I never called my son weird. I can tell you that. I called him a pain in the ass. I said he made me want to rip every follicle out of my head. I've said things like that, like every parent of a teenager has. I never, ever called my son weird because he wasn't.
As I have sent texts to my husband saying, our daughter is a psycho today. On the way to school last week.
I didn't have girls. So surprisingly, I'm not gonna drag her too much over that remark because I have absolutely heard other, friends and family members, especially with adolescent girls. Hell, I'm sure my husband has said it about me back in the years of greater hormones. So I'm not going to skewer her for that one.
Week she's crying. She doesn't have people to sit with at lunch. I texted him. She's a nutcase. I don't know what to do.
Believe it or not, I was okay with acting like a psycho. Nutcase, now I think she's just getting mean.
I don't know how to handle this. I don't have time for this.
Damn, Shannon, you're an idiot. I hope your kids don't see this. I truly do. Because, like, psycho, okay. Nutcase, not real nice. But I don't know how to handle this. And I don't have time for this. Not a good look.
My other daughter is complaining about her lights flickering in her room. I texted my husband, this sounds like a case. The start of a case. My husband works for my office. He's actually my office manager, so he knows about the case.
Well, then why don't you give your office manager, I don't know, let him close up shop one day so you can go home and take a shower. Go home an hour early and shower.
He went in her room and figured out in 5 minutes it's because when she flips her blow dryer on, one of our plugs makes the lights flicker. So this ghost that you would read about in my text messages, which by the way, I did not respond to, despite the fact that it's on our 6-person.
Nobody gives a shit. It's not about you. And nobody cares what your response was or was not about your daughter's flickering lights and blow dryer. Oh.
Person group chat would be taken out of context and make me look like I don't really care that my daughter is crazy.
Well, if the mommy dearest hat fits, wear it, bitch. Or should I? If the shoulder pad, yes, if the shoulder pads, girl, all you need are Joan Crawford's damn shoulder pads in that business power suit of yours. Oh God.
I also got text one day. We have no food in our house. I am absolutely starving. You are the worst mother ever. And
okay, everybody who's had a child or anyone live in their house that doesn't pay the grocery bill. We've all heard that shit. I was saying that when I was a kid. I mean, that is a story as old as time. All kids say that. We don't have anything to eat. Hell, my husband says it. I say it. I come back to the store after spending $200, put it away and go, there's nothing to eat here. But it like she's always got to take it one step further. She's just,
you know what I did? I ignored it. She was mad we didn't have the right kind of chicken ramen. When we have 85, I like the number 85. When we have 4 other flavors of ramen, and there's about 100 other.
Is this the psycho one? The nutcase?
Okay. Things she can eat. And I knew she's not going to starve to death, but taken out of context, it makes me look like a neglectful mother.
Ooh, if the shoulder pads fit, wear them.
But if you know all the circumstances.
You know what I get? I get the impression that Shannon, and I mean this, and I'm only basing this off of everything I've heard her say in this closing, and some remarks she's made through the trial. I get the impression that Shannon thinks, and probably, well, how do I say this? I think Shannon probably wears the pants, but she doesn't do a very good job of it. I think Shannon comes first. I think Shannon's career comes first. I mean, her husband works for her, for fuck's sake. What is that? Is he your errand boy? What does he do for you? The office manager. What does that mean? He goes and orders the Staples order so we have enough rubber bands and copy paper and toner cartridges every month. I mean, she acts like she's running Morgan and Morgan. She's not. So you got your hubby, he's your office manager. You got 4 kids who you've made, we got an oopsie. You don't want to spend time with any of them. One's a psycho, a nut job. Like, I really believe that you could, I guess what I'm poorly articulating is that I believe her. I believe that she is very self-involved. And I would bet that the whole house runs around Shannon. And And I think her career probably absolutely comes first. And I think her kids probably do come secondary to her career. And hey, it's not none of my not my concern, but because I can tell you this, you could not stand up there and say the things that she is saying and try and make yourself just like her. She's doing way too good of a job, looking a lot like her client, except for the, obviously their kids are took different life paths. Let's hope that stays that way always. I think it's pretty organic. I think it's easy for her to get up and say all this shit because I think she's telling the truth.
And you know the relationship I have with my daughter, I knew it was an overdramatic, stupid point.
How do you take 20,000 children in the middle of New York City without anybody seeing?
They're miserable.
So when you see messages from Mrs. Crumbly's son saying, will you at least call back? Those are so out of context. And when I'm driving home from court every day, I'm getting messages, will you at least call back? And I don't, because I know what they want is for me to run through the McDonald's drive-thru and bring everyone a Coke. I do stop and get.
You do know that they sell Coke at other places besides McDonald's. Places that might be more convenient, like Walmart or the grocery store.
Myself a Coke, but I am not getting a round of drinks every day for everyone. And I've realized it's easier to not answer the phone.
Wow. I just don't even know what to say. It's like she gets there and I'm on board with her. And then she's just got to throw that last part in, which makes me go, God, I can't stand you. I was totally on board. I could absolutely, anybody who's had a kid, we've all had those calls. Mom, can you stop at McDonald's? Can you stop at, wherever? Usually McDonald's, Starbucks, whatever the case may be. And yeah, you're just like, no, fuck that. I don't have time. But she could, that wasn't enough to say, yeah, where every mother can relate. She's got to then say, but I stopped for myself and got a drink. God, you're just a nasty bitch. Does she think this is making her relatable? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Every time she could hit the mark bullseye, she's just got to take it that step further, because I think she's very much enjoying this, despite the fact that she's not that great at it. She's not a good orator, not in my opinion. Not next to Karen McDonald. No comparison.
So you can find reasonable doubt from the context that the defense did actually provide. And when Mrs. Crumbly got on the stand and explained to you her understanding of ghosts and dishes flying and laundry flying.
Yeah, this is a story that they concocted about when her son was sending these messages while she was riding, something, presumably her horse, because there's no service out there. Boy, it's unfortunate for her boyfriend's wife that they didn't schedule their rendezvous at the barn because the service sucks out there. So that could have taken care of that problem. But she wants you to believe that the explanation for her son saying, I'm seeing demons, they fucked up the house, the kitchen's a mess, they threw bowls all over, blah, blah, blah. Can you call me back? Can you please at least call me back? Oh, that's because, we played all these pranks on each other and he he really thought that we had a ghost in the house, but there's no there. Oh, really? Thanks.
That is evidence, and that is something that can create reasonable doubt to hear what was really going on.
I think we know what was really going on.
Even if you believe the prosecution's dates about what was going on, it's not strong evidence. It's very misleading. And I'm going to go through what it does show. There are 3 sets of dates involving Mrs. Crumbly, all from March of 2021. The first time is March 8th and 9th. They introduced exhibits, including text messages on the 8th, where Mrs. Crumbly starts off asking, is he home yet? Is he home yet? I don't want him to do anything stupid. I'm sure you all remember those. Then they introduced evidence on March 9th that she went to the barn that day with her husband on the 9th. Then they introduced evidence, and I will give them credit. They put together quite a case, although it's really not important, that there was a picture of the horse taken at the barn that day, that the data supports there was a picture of the horse taken at the barn that day, and that there was GPS tracking information supporting that she was at the barn that day. Okay, fine. So on March 8th and 9th, there's concern that the shooter, Mrs. Crumbly's son, is making weird comments. And on the 9th, she goes to the barn and she takes some horse pictures. That's all that shows. Pretty minimal.
We're going to have to suffer through 2 more manila envelopes.
Next, they went to March 16th through 19th, which was broken up into a million exhibits that, quite frankly, were out of order, threw me off my game, helped create these beautiful TikToks. And I'm going to tell you what
do you hear her?
Now, these ended up all being...
Ma'am, that sounds like a you problem, not a them problem, okay? There's no law that the exhibits have to be shared in sequential order, okay? They, just like you were repeatedly told that the prosecution did not have to tell you which witness was going to be called at what times. And I'm sure you would have liked to have had all the questions and how long they were going to be on the stand ahead of time as well. I mean, so she's salty that their exhibits threw her off her game. Well, girl, you better get a better fucking game face. I don't know what to tell you. Why don't you call me? I can help you with your wardrobe. I can definitely help you with your stage presentation. Just, honey, stay off the TikTok because, ooh, it's making you salty. Yeah. But if you want to feel better about yourself, I can point you in the direction of a jailhouse lawyer. She used to be quite popular on TikTok at one time herself. I mean, I'm not the only one who just, even the second time around listening to this, I'm still as dumbstruck as I was the first time. Like, Shannon, have you ever considered, like, I don't know, little theater? That's what they used to call that, like theater in the round, maybe. I don't know, because we could get you where you think you are, I know you think you're, getting ready to sign a contract with MGM, I'm sure. But where you actually are is, well, you kind of ate up with the dumbass right now. You're believing, Shannon, you got a lot of like pluses on your side. You got great hair, minus the highlights. Oh God, we got to talk about those. I've already talked about those, but if you need more, just hit me up. You got a nice figure. You got great legs. You're pretty awkward and strange, but we can work on that. I can get you where you think you are. And you can tutor me for the bar. No, you cannot. No, that ship sailed. Those days are past. That was a dream that, that was at the time of my life where I thought, law school, who the fuck needs that? I am a bartender and a cocktail waitress in one of the hottest clubs in town. And we'll just leave it right there. Oh gosh, Shannon, I missed several callings in my life. Okay, so I'm just a bored housewife with a damn good internet connection and a camera, kind of like yourself, except I don't know. I'm not a fan of the TikTok. I'm also not a fan of publicly telling my children like how little I think of them. Oh, and for Shannon's kids, if you're watching, your mom loves you. She's just weird. She's just a little awkward.
He admitted as exhibits, but I'm going to go in order of what they show. There was a text thread in Exhibit 85, which if you want to look at it, you can, where Jennifer Crumbly said, I'm going to get drunk and ride my horse. This was on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. A lot of people have a cocktail on St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
That does not make her a mother that would be negligent or grossly negligent to her child.
Well, what about the other 364 days of the year? Oh, Shannon. I mean, Shannon, you may end up as a skit on SNL. The good news for you is Tina Fey, I believe, is retired, and they're not that funny anymore.
There's text messages from the day before where Mrs. Crumbly's son is saying some things about, now the house is haunted. Some weird shit just happened, now I'm scared. I got some videos, a picture of a demon. It's throwing bowls. I'm not...
Oh yeah, there's no there. No. We're Ghost Adventures enthusiasts. Interactive version.
Joking, it fucked up the kitchen. I'm going outside for a while. Can you at least text back? On that day, Mrs. Crumbly didn't text back, but their own exhibit, okay, which is Exhibit 83, so the numbers do bounce around, so we go from 85 to 86 to 83, show that within an hour of the shooter making these ghost comments, she did call him. Specifically, she called him back at 7:24, and they had a 19-second phone call. If it was 19 seconds, it most likely was, I'm on my way home, we'll talk when I get home.
I'm on my way home. I had to stop at the Costco parking lot. I shouldn't be laughing. There's nothing funny about this.
So then the state, in order to make it seem like they've really, really got some proof here, they admitted exhibits 87, which show on the 17th on St. Patrick's Day, James was on a horse. They showed People's Exhibit 88, confirming the metadata that James was on a horse.
Mm-hmm.
They showed a picture, 89, of Jennifer on a horse that day.
Uh-huh.
Metadata to prove she's on the horse that day.
Do you have any picture?
Another picture
on a horse.
Number 91 of James on the horse, a different picture. The metadata to prove James is on the horse.
What do you think Shannon would have on her? I mean, we can see Karen McDonald's laptop, and if you watch it on, a decent quality device, you can tell that those are the victims on her laptop. What do we think Shannon has on her laptop? We think like maybe the Powder Puff Girls, Bratz dolls, old episodes of LA Law. Like, oh God, do you remember that show? Do you know Harry Hamlin is still a good looking dude? And Corbin Burnson. Oh my God, I loved him. That was a great show back in the day. Has anybody watched Swans? I've had enough of this bitch. And I know my in-laws are going to be here shortly. They came over the other night to watch that movie Ferrari. Do y'all want to watch I'm looking at the chat. Hey Becca, how are you? Do you guys want, I can do a few more minutes. But y'all, if you have any interest in any of the FX series, they show, let's see, was it American Nightmare? What was that called? They did like Sarah Paulson she played Marcia Clark in the OJ season. This is not part of that franchise, but this show is on FX. Truman and the Swans. And what is crazy is I've been reading this book, and when I bought the book a while back, you know how you can, on the Kindle, you can read reviews, you can see other things. And one of the things that I read was that this series has been years in the making. And at the time that the post was made that I read, it had already been, I believe, pushed back at least 2 years. And I'm going to watch it when all the episodes are out, because I'm spoiled now and I will not watch anything unless I can binge it. And you want to hear a really weird thing that I do now? And I never did this until I got older, but I will rarely watch. If I'm really into something, I will almost never watch the last episode of the season. And I think it's because it's like it's not even subconscious. It's like I don't want it to end. So I don't watch it. So it's like it never does end for me. But when I saw the trailer the other day, I was shocked because I didn't realize when I was reading, I think I read an article online or something, and that's what it was. I had Googled, because when I got the book, I think the book actually was published a few years back, but maybe not. But before I got the book, I saw it, on the front jacket, it says soon to be an FX series or something like that. So of course I Googled right away to find out, what's it going to be on? When did it come out? And that's when I saw, maybe it was BuzzFeed, I don't know, but it was some entertainment site that was just saying how it had already been delayed a couple of years. So I had no idea how old that article was until I saw, I think Crazy Nurse sent me the link to the show. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that it had actually even gone into production. But it looks fantastic. And if you like books, read the book. Is the book the same name? I had to look it up the other day. How embarrassing. I can't remember anything. It's horrible. I think it's the same name, but let me just make sure. Oh shit, that's the wrong. I need a Kindle app. There we go. It is. It's Capote's Women. Every one of those women, fascinating in their own right. But and Truman Capote was a very odd duck. And when I saw who is in the series, who is Callista Flockhart playing? Because I will only watch the trailer. I will not watch it until all the episodes are out. So who I know Diane Lane has got to be playing Lee Radziwill. Who else is in it? Diane Lane, Callista Flockhart. That one really threw me for a loop because I have not. You don't see Callista Flockhart in much. And if you never saw Ally McBeal, that was a great show. Demi Moore is in it. Okay, now I'm gonna. Let's just pull this shit up. Fuck you, Shannon. I'm sick of you and your disgusting client. Okay. Capote's Women Cast. That book was the beginning of the end of Truman Capote's, not only his career, but his life. Okay. Oh my God. Callista Flockhart, Molly Ringwald, Chloe Sven, I can never say her name, her, Demi Moore, God, that bitch still looks amazing. Naomi Watts, Diane Lane. They all look fantastic. Okay, so wait, I might have to change my, what will be fun? Okay, let's just do this. I'm going to guess. I'm going to just guess. I'll show you what I'm looking at. This is what I'm looking at. All right, now. Diane Lane has absolutely got to be Lee Radziwill because I see it. Lee Radziwill she is not only Carol Radziwill from the Real Housewives of New York, she's not just her mother-in-law. She is Jackie Kennedy's sister. Okay, so she's got to be Lee. Now, if you believe what Truman Capote and the book says, Babe Paley was Truman's favorite, and most people widely believed and said she was absolutely stunningly beautiful, the most beautiful of them all. I mean, maybe I haven't seen as many pictures. So Demi Moore, is Demi Moore playing Babe Paley? I'll come back over in a minute and y'all tell me if I'm right about Demi Moore. All right, now listen, there's several swans. I don't know how many they're actually portraying in the movie. Here's who the swans were. Babe Paley, CZ Guest. I don't think she's actually in the cast, but and the one I'm reading about now, Churchill. Is her name Patricia? Pamela Churchill. Slim Keith. Is Molly Ringwald playing Pamela Churchill? And the only reason I say this, and don't come for me, but the only reason I'm saying this is because Pamela was quite voluptuous and, on the bigger end of the swans, for sure. She was not a size 0. She was Winston Churchill's daughter-in-law way back in the day. So I'm guessing Molly plays Pamela if Pamela is a swan. I might have to change Demi. Is Demi, by any chance, if she's not Babe, is she Agnelli? What's her first name? Marnell Agnelli, of the Fiat Empire. Maybe Naomi Watts is Babe. Who is Callista? Who is Chloe? Diane Lane is the only one that I know has got to be Lee. Okay, so CZ Guest, Agnelli, Babe, Slim, Gloria Guinness, I'm missing one. And actually, there were several swans, but not all swans had the same, Babe was the number one swan. One of the swans in waiting was where Truman went when he was ousted from all of New York society, which was the only society that anyone cared about back then. Joanna Carson, Johnny's wife. He went and lived, or was it Mathau? Both of them, maybe. I know he was absolutely friends with Joanna Carson. It was either Joanna Carson or Mathau's wife, Walter Mathau's wife, that took him in, and that's where he ended up dying, is in their guest room. Diane Lane is beautiful. She's always been beautiful. Hey, Blank Slate. All right, now I'm gonna have to. Let's see who's playing who. Let's see who the swans are. Oh, Ann Woodward. That's right. But you know what? I haven't gotten to Ann Woodward in the book. Ann Woodward was stunning. And that is an OG, actually probably right up there with, it's more modern true crime, but well, actually, Ann Woodward was the real life wife of Billy Woodward, where did their money come from? His dad's money. I don't remember at the moment where the fortune came from. Very wealthy. Dominic Dunn wrote a fiction book about that case called The Two Mrs. Grenvilles, which to this day, I have read that book more than once. Dominic Dunn is a fantastic writer. Dominic Dunn lost his own daughter to a crime, murder. Dominique Dunn was her name. She was killed in Hollywood by her boyfriend. I believe he strangled her. Hey, Celia, how are you? But yes, Dominic Dunn, Dominic is passed on, but he was writing for Vanity Fair when the OJ trial came out, and he covered that trial. He was in court every day. Hey, Bama G, how are you? But yes, he wrote The Two Mrs. Grenvilles about Ann Woodward shot her husband, Billy. Ann Woodward was like a showgirl. This was back I believe it was in the 50s. And believe it or not, Billy Woodward's mother, who was very entrenched in the highest echelons of society, well, she wasn't too happy when old Billy boy brought Ann home. Ann was beautiful. Ann was like a showgirl. And yeah, shockingly, dear old mom, didn't picture her baby boy with Ann. And they got on like a house on fire in the beginning. And then one night, and then the problem started. And, he was a philanderer and he was a drunk and he had a racehorse and mom and dad still held the purse strings and one night, Ann Woodward picked up a shotgun and blew a hole in him. And Ann always maintained that she thought he was an intruder. And I believe Ann was acquitted. I think she was only, I think it was a one and done, and I believe she was acquitted. She ended up committing suicide in the end. She had an overdose. She was an alcoholic. Ann did not have Ann lived the high life for a very short period of time, and boy, did she pay for it in the end. But yes, that is what the book, The Two Mrs. Grenvilles, is based on that case. Listen, Dominic Dunn never wrote a bad thing, ever. A Season in Purgatory, that's fiction based on the Martha Moxley case. He knows that case. He knew the Moxleys personally. I believe, I think he might have had a home in Connecticut as well as, out in California. But that's a fiction, but based on the Martha Moxley case. I'm done in a minute. I'm running out of steam. Mr. Crimes and Fashion just walked in the door. I see. Boy, he must have thought I was doing a damn marathon, because he left. He wasn't out the door when I came on at 12 for my little technical difficulties. He doesn't know this is try two. And he came in all nice. I heard the door when he came in through the garage, but I see him out there doing that. Oh, so, but yes, if you ever need something good to read, and you I think Dominic Dunn, though, he did write a book about his own. What was that book called? I wish I read more. Like I used to. I don't read as much as I used to because other shit takes my time up, but isn't that a name? That's a blast from the past. Dominic Dunn was on. Listen, Dominic Dunn is a fantastic writer who had a prolific career, and he was also a member of society. Okay. He might not have been as, he wasn't as rich as a lot of the circles that he traveled in, but trust and believe, he had plenty of money. He was not, you don't get people like that to tell you things unless you are either from what they are from, at least on the fringes, or you get into the circle because, like Truman Capote. Truman Capote died fucking penniless. I mean, he's had very interesting. If you read the book, Capote and His Swans, that this series is based on, you get a lot of Truman Capote's life in there, and he had some things to overcome, that's for sure. That voice being one of them. Let me tell you something. One of the best, if not the best, portrayal by an actor was Philip Seymour Hoffman playing Capote. That's so sad. That guy was so talented. So talented. What a shame. A loss to the world. All right. Well, not sure exactly what I got going on tomorrow. I think I'm having the Fam Dam over. Although I don't know, they're coming tonight, so maybe not tomorrow. I don't know. I do want to finish this cross because she just keeps saying, I mean, I knew there was no way in hell this was getting this. I knew this was not going to be a one and done. I was hoping for 2 parts. It's probably going to be 3. And I don't know how quick a verdict's going to come. For those of you that didn't watch yesterday, this was quite interesting. You don't see this. I've never seen this. Doesn't mean it's never happened, but I've never seen it. So when they've rested, and given it, we're all done. Before, what order did they go? Well, they rested their cases, and then I think before they presented, yeah, that's how it went. So each side rested, and before either side gave a close, the jury went to lunch or something, and I guess they'd already agreed on a lot of the, hey, Purple Pickle, I think they'd already agreed on quite a few of the jury instructions, which that's always helpful. And to me, that's the most boring part. I hate that. I rarely watch it. But so the judge said, okay, I'm gonna, once we come back, I'm gonna bring the jury back. I swear, I think they settled on the instructions before the close. I might be wrong, but this I'm not wrong on. They both sides said, okay, and then after we're done, yeah, they can go ahead and start deliberating. And the judge said, you sure about that? And she was looking at, because of course Shannon's like, they can start deliberating. And the judge looked at the prosecutor and said, you okay with that? Or something to that effect. And they said, uh-huh. And she said, are you sure? And then she said, approach. And I have to say, I think she's right. And I think it was smart. It was a Friday. It was a trial that they have been sitting in 2 weeks. Do you know they told them 3 weeks? And they actually got it done in 2. The jury expected to be there 3. So I think I like that judge. I think she has a great judicial temperament. However, I think she needs she needs to get a little more salty. Judge Matthews, you can call me too. I can help you with this. I got enough salt for the sea. Okay. You call me, girl. We'll work on it. We'll have safe words. And when you hear the safe word, when you hear LA law, that means you got to light into them. Okay. You let Shannon get away with a little too much as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I think it was very smart because we've seen this happen. What was the last case we saw? Murdoch. Casey Anthony. Of course, that one didn't go the right way, but same type of thing. That was either Labor Day weekend or 4th of July weekend. I cannot remember, but it was one of the summer holidays. They had been sitting there forever. That was, oh my God, none of us thought we'd survive that one. So I think the judge made the right call by sending the jury home. And I don't even know if she gave them the instructions. Probably not. I think she probably just sent them home. And then, when they come back on Monday, they'll get the instructions and then they'll go deliberate. I think it's going to be quick. I do. And I think it's going to be guilty. And I hope so. The last couple, we have gotten at least what I thought was the right verdict. So I think it was a very good call. And I will say, I think the fact that each side was more than willing to let the jury go and deliberate, I think speaks to the fact that each side thinks that they've got a slam dunk. And we know only one side's going to, and I hope it's my team. I'm really going to be upset if it's the other team because listen, we have long passed the point, and I don't have the answers. I don't. I think this is a good start, though. We're long past the point in this country where this shit, not only does it not stop, it gets more prolific, and we have to do something. Okay. And this is a good start. Do I have the answers? No, I do not. But I think that this will send a very strong message that if you're not paying attention and you have firearms in your house, you better start paying attention. And, let's not forget, this is an egregious case. This was very flagrant, in my opinion. So, all right, kids, got a little dog here that he wants my attention. I got a husband out there getting ready to make himself his nightly peanut butter and jelly. All right, kids. Oh, hey, Caribbean. Damn, girl, I'm just getting ready to leave. So hi and bye, and it wasn't anything you said, I promise. All right, y'all. Have a good weekend. You may see me tomorrow, but more than likely it'll be Tuesday. Okay. All right. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Bye, pussycats. All right, Bob.